So what happens when you want to use SKN, but you have a black and white image? Now, I know most of us are not going to do our black and white conversions up front. However, sometimes I do in Capture One just because I like the feel and the look that I get. And sometimes you have a situation where your image, the skin tone is very difficult to select because of various reasons, whether it's shadows or blurriness or whatever. And you have to do it a little more manually, but you still want to leverage SKN, right? So let's go ahead and do that. It doesn't matter what happens here. I'm just going to hit play and let it run the cleanup function. Here we go. All right, as soon as it finishes, the first thing I'm going to do is come to the bottom right little button here, erase mask, tap that, and now I have no mask. As you can see over here in the SKN folder on the layer window, it's a black mask. So you can probably guess where this is going. We can paint with white and paint in our effect, right? So let me shrink the brush a little bit and we can paint in wherever we want it, but we can go a step further. Okay, so let's go back to our background and let's go to Photoshop subject selection. Let it do its AI selection. This will give us some, border, some perimeters that'll be kind of clean. So while the selection is running, I can hit Command or Control H to hide it. And while I paint, now back on the mask, I have my perimeter clean, right? It's protected because of the selection. So I can just kind of quickly come in. Again, great for boudoir, glamour, swimwear images. And I can kind of paint in. I'm going to do this a little bit sloppy. You can just kind of paint in wherever you want the effect to work. We haven't even changed our settings or anything yet. We're just getting our mask in place when you have a situation that the mask doesn't work. Again, a black and white image is the most obvious example of when the skin tone selection won't work, at least for now. Hopefully these functions will change in the future. But because it won't work on a black and white image, it's a great process to learn about when you have difficulty because, like I said, because your shot has a skin tone that's hard to, to find, if you will, with the automatic function. So once it's painted in, let's just call it there. As you can see, I'm going to hit Command and Control D real quick, actually. If you look at the mask, you see how it's a little sloppy right now, but the perimeter was protected by the subject selection. So that helps me a little bit. Now I can play with all kinds of things. So if I were to ramp up secondary smoothing, you see it does all of that. I'm going to turn that down a little bit though. Let's go ahead and take our smoothing intensity a little higher. All these functions on SKN are, independent of the mask. So you can keep doing things, right? Let's turn that up a little bit. You can keep doing things only in that masked area. Texture recovery, all of that. So as you can see, off and on, that's way too strong. And that's the whole point. I'm just trying to give you a demo. You can do the Luma compression as well. That actually sort of made it look kind of nice from that to that. I don't mind that with a little bit of contrast. Cool. And then if I really want, I can add some secondary smoothing or whatever, but then take the overall opacity down. And I've got a nice cleaning effect on the skin. Same thing applies, of course, if I chose to go to tone, it would use this mask that I've created in the tone. But just keep that in mind that either you're using a black and white image or the skin tone selection is just consistently failing because of some kind of abstraction in your shot, which is awesome. Don't get me wrong. When something is straightforward like this, or actually because of the hair and shadows, this is not that straightforward. But when a shot is pretty straightforward and between Adobe and SKN, the skin tone is selected awesome. Those are great moments. We love that because it's super easy, but sometimes we have to tweak our mask anyway. However, when the mask is not possible, it's still possible. You just have to kind of dial it in manually any way you like. And you don't have to use a subject selection mask either. Don't get me wrong. I do that just to kind of help my perimeters, but you can come in here and use a white paintbrush here and paint wherever you want. Okay, let's go ahead, actually come back here and turn up our opacity so we can see our effect a little stronger. There we go. And we can just paint in wherever we want. With the, here's a quick tip before I go. With the texture recovery, honestly, a lot of times your perimeters, like these bikini straps, they still look great. They still look sharp and clear. So depending on the look you're trying for, consider that. And then once you get everything dialed in, you can scale back the opacity and still have a cool skin cleanup look.